Wow, it's echoing here. Hang on. Let me try this.
Wow.
How's that? Is this better? No, you can't hear me? Test, test. 1, 2, 3.
It's getting better. You were echoing.
Yeah, am I still echoing?
A bit.
What better?
Not much.
I'm like in an echoey room. This whole room is like echoey.
But it doesn't matter.
You can still hear me okay, right?
Me.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
Oh, that's better.
Yeah? I opened the window. Acoustics. What you get being an architect. All right.
Yeah. Went to Cambridge.
Yeah. So a few things I learned at Cambridge. Okay, so welcome everyone to our call. This is going to be an exciting call. We have just come back from a full week's masters and then a team retreat where we took all 3 companies to Lombongan, and which was like we had, it was just this beautiful villa overlooking the sea, and we just brought everyone together. We flew them in from South Africa, and from Australia, and from England, and from all over, and it was so worth it. So if there are, and we actually come up with some super exciting things that we're going to be doing in the coming year. So whatever is relevant on all of that, I will cover it as we go. And this is going to be a slightly special call because it's our final call of the year. It's November. So what I'm interested in hearing is not just the highlights and the questions that you have, but it's actually what's going to be your biggest goal, your biggest thing for all of 2019, right? So it's going to be like an extra little thing that we're going to do. So you can be thinking about that as I am giving everyone a chance to share. And I also am opening up some documents and things because we have some really, really interesting things we're about to roll out and launch. I just spoke to Wendy Keller, who is the agent who brought out my last book. And she's super excited. When I come over to the US in January and February, we're going to go to New York as well and get the next publishers for the 10x Your Impact book, which is like really exciting. So that's all going to be happening. And then that will come out at the end of this coming year as well, which is, yeah, it's pretty groovy. So lots of stuff going on US-wise, really. Okay, so let's jump into it. We are going to, this time around, start with Marie, and we have here highlight, which is Yewen and then our new authors in the book. That's awesome. And the first episode of Mel's podcast featuring Mona and Pelo and Hart, English episode will come out this week. I think that's come out already, right? Questions. Number 1, 3 main reasons people come into the book are: want to be a best-selling author, want to be in a book with you, Roger, want it done for them with ghostwriting, etc. For the part about being in the book with you, Roger, what can you do to help us reiterate that point? To really drive home that point home for people who would love that opportunity to be in a book with you. This like an Entrepreneur TV post or Facebook or Twitter post. Basically, you're saying, how can I promote your book for you? That's what you're saying, right? And then you've also got here, number 2, how the joint event with Deb Harris came about, who was run, who did, what, how to promote, and so on. Number 3, what's an exciting way to help us pre-sell the book during the US tour? Okay, well, let me ask you, Marie, are you on schedule at the moment, and what is your current promotion plan? Like, what are the key things that you're already doing for everyone with the book? Hello.
Right. Hi. Yes, being audacious is my goal for 2019 in regards to the book and promoting it. We have pushed out the book to come out in May. And and that was a request of some of the authors. And so
why did they want that? Why did they want to delay it?
Because one of the authors, his his business kind of took a dip. He's I don't know the full story because it was one of Mel's people. And then when we started to talk to others, that it just seemed the perfect timing. I mean, I keep thinking about you were going to launch your book in early last year, and now it'll be at the end of 19. So, I remember you saying if the plan needs to change, then change the plan. And so
two Two things. First one, I'll come back to the thing about this next year's plan, but in terms of the marketing plan then, what is your current plan of how you want to be marketing it? Like, do you have a process or a formula or someone who knows how to make it a best-selling book that's working with you?
The Ruby's team have done 15 of these books, made 500 people best-selling authors. So they have the Amazon book campaign ready to put in place when it's ready. It is promoting for the last 5 authors. It is promoting for, that's what we're requesting of you as a team because, truly it's about being in a book with you in the forward. And just the list, the reasons people want to be a best-selling author, they want to be in a book with you, and they want it done for them. And so my promotion plan is, what I love is that you're coming to the US in January. Not only will be selling, the tickets, promoting the book, whatever, doing the pre-launch and having that pre-launch so that when we launch in May, that it'll be just easy peasy to become best-selling authors.
So you're saying, I mean, how many of those 15 books that Ruby has done actually became best-selling books?
All of them.
Okay, so she has a formula that she uses to do that, right?
That is correct.
Okay, all right. Given that you are giving me a big bold ask, Marie, let's make this a mentoring opportunity. You asked me if I would do a forward for your book, and I'm like, okay, but I was never aware that you were then using the fact that I was in your book as the main draw as to why people would be in the book. And so when you're asking someone to do something, even your mentor, and they're giving you a favor and going, sure, I would do that, when they're not really doing forwards for anybody else. And then you say, and now that you're in the book, you need to help me promote it, or I'd like you to help me promote it. At some point, the mentor then goes, wait, what? I'm already giving, what, by now you want me to give more? What's the give? What's the give from your side? So I mean, that's my question, right? I can do a lot of stuff with my goodwill, but at some point, knowing that all I'm doing is giving you a forward as really as a gift, because it's not like I'm getting paid anything or anything like that, right? So it's really just something which I'm doing to support you and the book. To then I say, okay, now what can you do to actually, the way you wrote it is, here, Roger, what can you do to help us reiterate this point that I'm in the book, to really drive the point, e.g. entrepreneur TV posts. I mean, it's an ask, right? You're saying, go out and promote. So given that's the situation, generally, in my experience, whenever I'm out asking anyone for anything, I would always start by saying, I'm going to make this worth your while. I'm going to do something which is going to make you super, happy about the situation, or I'm just going to kind of give fully until they go, geez, I owe Roger now, right? I mean, seriously, he's just gone out of his way so much to help me in all these different areas that, of course, if I then ask, so I generally, trust is like a bank account, right? You can always make deposits, you can always give, make deposits, and you can get a sense when you basically have kind of got well high balance on your trust balance account, that you can then actually then go, oh, I'd like to make a withdrawal, right? I'd hey, can you help me do this or help me do that? Other people, they kind of take, and then it's it becomes an overdraft. And to begin with, that's okay if there's goodwill, right? If there's goodwill in there. But at some point, it then becomes wait, hang on, what's going on here? Especially because there's so much else in my world. And by the way, this is not about me as much as just generally. If you're going to go out and ask other people for things, how you do it or what you're doing to say, where's my bank account with that person at this point, based on the different things that we're doing, and getting that sense of it is really important, right? In terms of where you're going. So that's what I would say at the moment. The number of people who ask me to promote their stuff is it's a long list. And so that would be my question to you, knowing that you're ready, you're having good success bringing people on board, and the vast majority of them are in our community, right? So just for me to get a sense from you, what do you think in a situation like this is kind of the ideal thing, or the thing that you could say, oh, but Roger, I'm going to give you this, or this is what I'm going to be doing, or this is what I have done, or whatever happens to be, which then actually allows me to go, okay, that's fair call. I get where the balances are. Does that make sense?
It very much makes sense. And I mean, talk about an essential mentoring moment. So I really appreciate you, because this is about, you and promoting your work. For me, it is, because what I've been doing, the bonus that I have is to do the promotion plans with all of the authors. And often we're talking about using micro degrees to put on Genius U. We're talking about putting the book on Genius U. We're talking about promoting the platform that is, I feel like we're all pioneers on the Genius U platform. So the fact that, 22, 25 authors are, my commitment to you is to keep it as much in the Genius U family as possible. We are keeping the authors in the Genius U family because they need to know their profiles. That is a whole idea behind the book called You Are a Genius, which you penned. But that whole idea of to keep it in the Genius U family, to promote the Genius U platform, is something that I am absolutely committed to. And in using the authors and using the promotion plan and always bringing it back, my podcast, I hope that someday that you have the opportunity to hear, especially the end of the podcast. It is all about, if you want to find out who you are as a genius in the world, here's 3 ways you can do it. Again, we're using the Genius U profile for them to find their profile, to do a debrief with me, the fact that I've come on as a flow consultant, performance consultant. All of this is all around your work, Roger. And it's my commitment to your work. As you know, I've done every single program of yours: flow consultant, performance consultant, 2 wealth dynamics masters, iLab. I've been on this incredible trip with you. It's taken me to a whole nother level as a person when we went to China and Japan. And, you have altered the existence of my life. Why wouldn't I want to help you promote your work that I think is so important in the world, and it's so needed here in America, that it feels very powerful to do it. So my ask is large, it is audacious, but you've helped me and mentored me in asking those large and audacious goals. So
yes and no. I mean, let's separate out being audacious, but at the same time, like, the mentoring is as much about the flow, right? And it's creating flow so you actually can see and experience where that flow is and where there's that support and there's that give in the world of the other person, right? Which is really super important as well, right? It's like, and you're 100% right. There's all these things you've been doing, and it's really awesome that you're doing the book in context of all the other people that are doing things that are related to wealth dynamics or the Genius test, or building their business off the back of those things, right? There's many different people out there who are doing that. Like, we just had Masters where Ragnar would be there, or we'd have people like Paul Avens there, and they've built $1 million businesses where every single, they're buying hundreds of tokens every single month from us. And I'm like, hey, thank you for doing that, because obviously that's money in our pocket that they're doing that with, right? But at the same time, they're evolving, they're growing, they're building the things they're doing as well. And in the case of someone like Paul, we haven't really figured out, what's the way for us to grow. And if he says, Roger, can you do videos for my company to, support my company and grow it because I'm actually supporting your things, I'd actually just straight out say, no, I can't, because I just don't have the time to do those things, right? I'd say that no straight away, even though he's actually putting, $100,000 a year into our business and making $1 million himself. Just because there's so many other things going on, if I was then doing videos for every person who was actually asking that, it would be impossible, right? However, Radka, different thing. Radka comes along and she says, hey, Roger, let's do something where we can actually work together on something and have a partnership in some way where I'll drive it, I'll make things happen, we'll both win out of that. And she's now taken her entire Tyro program and put it into our Master Trainer program. And now she's helping me train Master Trainer. She's like, Roger, what's your biggest need? And I'm like, well, my biggest need is I don't have time right now. So every time someone asks me for something, it's just more ask or more time. And it's not even about the money, it's about my time. I just don't have it. And she's like, well, I'll help you on that, right? I'm going to help you with your time. I'm going to come in, I'm going to do your Master Trainer training for you, work with you on that. And I'm like, brilliant, that's worth so much more than someone paying me money, right? It's like giving me some of my time back is so awesome. And so I think a large part of win-wins is when you're figuring out what is the other person, what do they really need, how can I really help them get what they need, and then at the same time, then they're like saying, oh, that was so awesome that they did that. They're aligning their interest to my interests, as opposed to saying, well, I've got my interests and I don't even know what your interests are, but can you help me? And this is so critical, right? It's so critical for all of us, because of course I want the book to be successful. And I can tell you straight away on that one, what I would say is, like, I think, well, how can I help Marie in a way that's not going to just take a lot more time or things that are off key for the things that we're doing, right? Like, what's the way that, like, given that we have our own content schedule, we have, the media stuff that we do, that I'm not like off going wise or to promoting someone else's stuff or something else which is not core to the things that they're doing. And I'd say, well, the way to do that is that, when I'm in America, I could do a video like when I'm there, so it's not actually taking up more time. You can use that video to kind of share with people and that kind of thing. But that would be the thing. But the key thing here is I'm not really here to talk about what I can or can't do for you. It's more about how do you even do the ask of anyone, whether it's me or anyone else out there. And the number one thing is find out what they need. Find out what's the big thing that they want or that you can help with, and go straight in to help them in that thing. And then you've got this massive bank account which came out of nothing just by actually helping them with and they go, oh, here's someone who's aligned to helping me, as opposed to someone that's really focusing on helping themselves. And that's the difference of coming to someone with a solution as opposed to coming to someone with a problem, right? Which is like, oh, geez, that's more time I've got to do into something. And I see that all the time. So there's people I'm going out to at the moment where I haven't asked of them. And I know that if I go about it in a way where I'm asking if they can help me, then I die straight away, right? Like and they won't even return my calls anymore because they know that I'm more interested in what I need to get than I am in actually even asking them what they need at this point. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Yeah, super duper important. However, I will come back to your answers because we want the book to be successful for you, and we want to make sure that everyone who's in the book also gets success as well. All right, so I'll kind of share with you on the key things that you've gone through there. Thank you, Marie. Fabulous. Let's come over. Next, we are going to come to Gabriel, who says, highlight is EFT is ongoing. And the big questions, the three biggest questions for growing business with EFT. What is the number one need? ... I think you've stopped there. So maybe I'll come to you, Gabriel, and ask you to extrapolate a little bit on the questions there. Hey, Gabriel.
Yeah, hello. Hello. Hi, just had trouble with my computer. Well, it's, yeah, what are the big three, like my questions are, I was thinking in how can I leverage the Entrepreneur Fast Track that is coming to Mexico to grow my business, but also when you were giving this this topic to this mentoring to Marie, I was thinking, well, what's the biggest need of the Entrepreneur Institute right now in Latin America, so I can start thinking about how to grow the business through that. I had a incredible conversation today with a new partner for the Entrepreneur Institute that actually told me that he was like, he said, I'm the biggest fan. Well, I think you're the one who's bringing it. So probably I'm the second biggest fan of Roger in Mexico. So it's, but he has built a big business about sales training. So he told me, hey, I can help you with the sales on the back end of the entrepreneur fast track. So tell me, how can we grow this? So he got me thinking and I think it will be a good partnership for me to grow into Latin America and grow more into Mexico. So
is all of his work Mexico based?
Right now it is, yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. All right. So, and by the way, I heard from Jess that you already have pre-sold some tickets. You got some partnerships already going. Is that right?
Yeah, I have in partnerships. I have like 45, 50-ish tickets.
Wow. Okay, that's good start. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
awesome. Very cool, fabulous. Okay, so I will answer your questions on that. That's awesome. Okay. Oh, by the way, what is your number one goal for 2019?
Okay. Okay. Let me download that. Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna think about it.
No. My biggest goal on 2019 is to get to 6,000 followers. 6,000 clients, and to open a new country in Latin America, probably Colombia or Chile.
Colombia, really? I'm gonna be in Colombia, from the looks of it, in January. Actually, yeah. There's a big impact conference happening in Colombia. I think in the second week of January. I'll just get the details of it actually. Why did you pick Colombia?
My wife is from there.
Okay. Okay, so that's the only reason?
Yeah, well, I have been trying to do business there from a couple of years because I was been visiting, and from two clients' perspective, they are on IT. They are one of the biggest growing IT programming like hubs in the region. That and also Brazil. Yeah.
Okay, all right, got it. Okay, cool. Okay, all right. Okay, I will come back on your questions there. Thank you, Gabriel. Let's come over. Next, we are going to head down to Danette. Highlight AHA. Use my extensive background in HR to support entrepreneurs building teams. It's fun for me, and also working through Yellow Playbook identity and finding my vision. Compelling. I truly jump out of bed ready to live it. That's awesome. Grateful for the playbooks, extra resources, vision exercises, borrowed benefit of being on these group calls. This is freaking awesome. Well, Danette's excited. Okay, so we got big questions here. Oh, okay, here we go. My promotional goals are to create branding around nuclear identity, sell Wealth Dynamics tests, attract 6 individual mentoring clients, attract 5 individual clients, and bring 10 plus people to Seattle, EFT free, for which of which would bring 3 guests each. Questions. Number 1, what actions should be in my promotion plan so that I can reposition or brand myself looking globally that will lead into attracting followers, community prospects, and important to my cash flow? Number 2, how can I leverage these branding and customer acquisition actions to introduce my local community to EIG Roger to allow and attract 10 awesome people to go since they don't know who Roger is yet? And number 3, what parts do I do so I can stay in flow doing those promotional activities, and what profile skills do I need to support me? Biggest concern, how to get in front of my avatar, the flow, since I don't have a huge newly revised avatar following yet. And biggest assignment, I sense there is a way to do this in an integrated flow kind of way. I just haven't a clear picture yet. Okay, fabulous. All right, well, Danette, let me, first of all, say congratulations. I think it's really awesome you're in that kind of vibe at the moment. Would love to hear what has been your key distinction now, like if you were to sum up for us your identity and your brand, personal brand, how would you sum that up at the moment?
I would say that I support female entrepreneurs in helping them. This is not going to be it, is it? In mentoring, but also designing systems to help leverage their business so they can grow. So there's mentoring and coaching, mastermind, and system design. Okay, all right. And what is the, have you updated your landing page or anything like that at the moment, or not yet?
Not yet. Not yet. I mean, some parts of it are, but I've had deeper clarity and using the make a decision already, comma, damn it method that you talk, those are my words, of decide when to decide kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I do have some, you know, the short list of things to update on my own page, but also I haven't built the lane change business one because I was doing that oscillation thing. And I think I told you last time, I'm in this transition of moving away from corporate to coaching to now a business. And so I just didn't know what to put on there. So I have clarity now to build it out.
Okay, and if you were to say, in terms of your avatar, how many people you know of, or is there anyone you've actually gone connected with already that is of that avatar and is like loving what you're offering them?
I have a list of 20 plus. I have a 20 plus partner, 20 plus mentoring, 20-ish systems list. So I'm kind of working through that.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And when you say working through it, have you actually had conversations with any of them yet?
Yes, and a lot of them are in the works, and some I'm meeting in person, some are on Skype or Zoom, or so I did a debrief and a consult last week, so I have a follow-up with one gal this week scheduled. So
okay.
That kind of thing. I feel like there's a ton of little pieces like that, so it feels a little scattered, but
so last time we talked, you kind of like knew you were going to start with that kind of like debrief consult, and then you were less clear on what the actual product you wanted to develop. So have you got clearer on that at the moment?
Yes. So depending upon where they're at in that consult, I would, if they're a fit, I would offer them a coaching package, kind of following your one-to-one, one-to-many, that whole thing. I think I would offer for the first few females one-on-one coaching, so I can develop a program or a mastermind or whatever out of it, learn and earn, kind of thing. And then if it's a different fit for people that are at a different level or whatever, to design their system. So there's, when I was listening to Mary last time, I hung up the phone wanting to help her so much on the whole hiring a team thing. And I thought, why are you avoiding that? And in Tahoe, everybody raised their hand. I need a team. I need a team. I need a team. And I was over there. I could do that. I could do that. I could do that. And I thought, why don't I help people get a team? So, I have this great HR background in hiring people. So that would be my other one, is either a team system or a customer service system. So. Okay,
so it sounds like you're not yet clear what you're going to provide. You're saying you're going to do one-to-ones.
One-to-one.
Yeah. So let's say someone goes, okay, I really appreciated this session we had where I can see you can actually help me in my business. How do we do this? What would you say to them? Like, what would you deliver? What's the name of it? What's the price of it?
So if it was a systems, I don't have the team system name yet, but what my proposal is, like over 3 months. My initial thought was develop whatever system they need. It depends on what they need, whether they need recruiting or onboarding or a combination. But I wanted to do a customized sort of response to them so that it fits their need, not mine. Like you were talking about, what do they need? Then I would design it around that. And then after I do, 10 of those, then I would figure out what I could customize and what I would need productized, right?
Yes and no. You still have to have a rough idea of what it is you're asking people to be part of, and then getting their feedback as to whether or not they're going to be part of that or not, as opposed to just customizing for each one by one, or else you're going to be there trying to figure it out and go back and forth with them.
Okay. So I did have a name. It was called Higher Performance Hiring. So like a hiring system. So they could create it one time and then they could use it for every time they needed a hire.
Okay, all right, okay, got it. And that would be a little bit over what period of time to them? And how much would it cost?
Well, my estimate without talking to the market is based on that they need to work. Their business is like a 3-month package for $3,000. And at the end of it, you have it done. So it would take some interaction and processing and then building a system and delivering and implementing.
Okay, all right, got it. Okay, I got it. Fabulous. I will come back to you on my answers.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's come over next. I'm writing all my notes here as I go. Okay, so next we're going to come. Well, we have Mary and David here. Mary's on the line. So we've got Mary's highlight is iLab promotion is happening and it's making a difference to the participants, which is fabulous. And the question is, how do we get old customers to come back? Number 2, how do we attract new customers? Number 3, how do we attract another great naturopath and or practitioners to consult with our clinic? All right. Okay, so I would love, first of all, to hear just how it's evolving and growing at the moment. Like, are things tracking for you at the moment, or are you finding that sales are a struggle? Where's that at, Mary?
Probably, yeah, we're not tracking like we would like to, for a number of reasons, and a lot to do with staff, Jeanette. We need you as a recruiter. Well and truly, that's exactly what I need. But yes, because of the cascade, I think there's a number of reasons. The cascade of our business falling through. I seem to have lost my positioning in the community a little bit, and the branding that I did have, because what I'm still finding is that people still don't know that, people still think that I've sold the business. They think I've moved away from the business, and which is really strange, because I had a girlfriend in the street that I hadn't seen for 12 months, and she's like, so what are you doing now that you're not, at Mammoth? And I'm like, wow, even the campaign that we put together to let people know that I was still at the helm hasn't got through to our community. And that's kind of cascaded to, of course, losing key staff, because they lose a little bit of trust in where the business, because they thought I was, that I had made that decision to leave. So yeah, so they've obviously moved on as well, and taken, one particular staff member has actually taken probably our top 50, 60 clients. And so the ramifications of that in the last few months, we're feeling it.
So what was the campaign you did to make sure everyone was aware of what was happening?
So obviously we announced it on Facebook, and we had and I announced it to my database. So I do a weekly blog. I probably have about 1,800 people on the database. And then when that didn't seem to get through, I actually, for our top 300 customers, I actually wrote a letter to. We had in-store events, so I have lots of in-store kind of free seminars and free events, and still writing to people. But even, I still write the weekly blog, but even so, people thought, oh, I just thought someone else was writing that now. I didn't think it was from you. So it's interesting. So clearly I haven't done enough. So I'm looking for perhaps some ideas of how to get that positioning and back.
Okay, and then when you are looking at the revenues of the company, is that going up or down, or I'm not? It's like how's that going at the moment?
The revenues are going down.
Okay.
Yeah, and we've, in the last 2 financial years, I know we're going into November now, we're probably down 2,000 sales in the last financial year, and in this financial year a further 300 sales just in the last few months. So as well as the revenue, so we're one contractor, so one match down as well. So
okay. So have you actually set, at the moment, do you actually have your like a promotion plan that you're running as of this moment?
Yes, so there's a promotion plan that we came up with at iLab that we're running, but yes, it's not so much to do with Mammoth Health. It was the wellness coaching that David and I are doing. So we're doing, so that's...
So when you're saying sales are down, are you talking about Mammoth Health, or are you talking about the actual kind of coaching side?
No, Mammoth Health.
So you're not actually running a promotion on Mammoth Health at the moment then?
We're running lots of little events, but not a major promotion. Because I think when we first started Crystal Circle, we were still initially thinking we were going to run 2 companies. But that's where, yeah, the last couple of months, our mindset has changed and everything's under the Mammoth Health umbrella.
Yeah. Okay. All right, got it. And on that promotion, what's the main goals on that promotion right now?
As in the wellness program, or?
Well, you're measuring, what you just shared in terms of your sales going down sounds like that was actually like product sales more than the new programs you're doing, right?
Yes.
I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to always, this is always going to be the case. Whatever you focus your attention to is what grows. It's like a gardener, right? Whatever you spray water on, it grows. And the parts of your garden you don't spray water on, they die. So if you're there focusing at all the coaching, and then that's there to grow, and then you're going, but the sales are going down on another part of the garden. So my question is, are you putting any water on that part of the garden? Are you actually doing anything in the areas where you're losing sales? Do you have a promotion around that area, or are you just not doing anything at the moment on that?
Yeah, we're having like, I suppose, free events. So for example, last night, so free in-store events around rebranding and getting people into the clinic. So last night there's new DNA testing that we're promoting that has just been introduced through our companies that we can offer our patients. And so we had a free information seminar to position ourselves. We're at the moment the only people that we know of in Geelong that are offering the DNA testing for patients. So that was kind of a free event. We'll have another free event in 3 weeks' time around Christmas that invites our regular customers in, our good customers in, to celebrate Christmas and, you know, try and get sales up there. So they're the two free events that we're offering this month and next month, as well as the coaching that we're doing as well.
So, and did that generate sales for you?
Sorry, I missed that one.
Did that generate sales for you? Did you have targets for sales you wanted to make, and did you generate the sales from that event?
We generated 2 sales, but we didn't. Yeah, it just seems like we just haven't got the pull that I had 12 months ago. If I put a free seminar event on like that in store, we would be turning people away, and we probably would have got around about 25%. So a full seminar for me is all I can fit into my store, and that's about 40 people max. And so we would definitely get, you know, 10, 15 big sales out of that. But now there's 2 out of, say, 12 people that attended last night. So we're feeling the effects on everything that we're doing at the moment. So we're clearly not reaching the market. There's something that we're not doing right.
Okay, and your whole database, has it grown in size at all, or is it still pretty much the same?
Yeah, it's interesting with the database. So we have a database in store, which is about 8,000 people, but my email database is about 1,670 or something. And that doesn't, so a whole lot of people unsubscribed when they thought that I had left for a start. But it seems to just go between the 1,600 to 1,700 mark. Can't seem to get it over the 1,700 mark.
And my last question is, what are you actually doing to try and grow it? Like, what's your actions you're taking?
So in store, we every good customer, so the staff are actually trained. We call it a customer club to join our Mammoth tribe. And so if we identify someone in store, so an actual customer, so a person that's made a purchase from us and has had some interaction, we actually sign them up or offer to sign them up. So we have targets, you know, the metrics around trying to sign, each staff trying to sign every shift that they're on 1 or 2 customers up. So then they become part of the email. That's what they give us permission to, you know, contact them. Yeah.
I got it. All right. Thank you, Mary. I'm going to answer your questions off the back of that. Fabulous. Oh, wait, hang on. What's your big thing for 2019? What's your big goal?
Well, you know, on the back of that, it would be like to just get my branding back and my positioning back in the local community for a start. So that would be 2019. That's my biggest. Yeah, just get that positioning back. Okay,
awesome. All right. And now I'm going to come over to, here we go. We are going to come to Yawen here. Highlight is personal brand and website for your company. Brand and website development is still ongoing. I believe the Emotion Code Practitioner Training System for 30 cases released their chapter motions. Attended annual Japan Korea plywood manufacturers meeting on the 11th. This time I discovered there is opportunity for me to bring message into corporate accounts. And the big questions, spending time on my self-discovery and remote healing this month, testing my own model in the integration of using emotional code healing, and Louise Hayes, managing business with heart and mind flow consultant to apply my business. I hope to add value to all my existing customers in diapers and plywood. Currently, I've visited many of these customers. I'm just starting to talk to them during my factory visits. I'm still in the stage of testing this model. Okay, so would you share some possible ways for me to link all these for the corporates that I already know and add benefit to them in the future? Right. Okay, so Yawen, I'd love to hear now. You know, we obviously are talking about like linking all of the things that you're learning into your main brand. And I know you were like looking at how you would actually now build, bring it all together into a brand as well. So I know you're going through the website development at the moment. How much longer is it for you to complete that at the moment, do you think?
I think my personal website should be ready very soon. I finally spent 1 month's time to get my theme, my purpose, and where I'm gonna start is from the energy and the frequency and vibration, how emotion affecting us. So this will be done very soon. And my personal, my Hoya International for adult diapers, I think will take about 1 month.
Okay, all right. Okay, so you got that coming. And then in the meantime, like when you're asking the question of how to bring the things you're learning into the corporates, you know it's going to be by actually having the product range and then being able to offer that product range as well. So just from that point of view, what's your current thoughts around what those product ranges would look like and your promotion plan around it?
Yeah, now it's kind of everything's separated, but I just came back from visit Malaysia and customer and factory, and then everyone has the same thing. They are in the competition of products. So I just want to be helpful to them. I'm thinking to use the flow consultant. I haven't started, but the wealth dynamic could help them from the yellow to, I think they are all in yellow like me. But I'm in the process of doing that, and my biggest challenge is to create a mission, my personal theme. A company, all the company doesn't have that mission. I see they don't have that core value yet. So I'm walking through this myself. So I'm still in the process. But I really hope all my customer supply, all these companies, they're all different products. They're diaper suppliers, lock suppliers, and they are. Many of them, they're actually very stressful. When I talk to them after meeting, they don't have time to take care of kids, their children, and they are very busy. They don't sleep well. It's all the same. I just want to be able to offer them, there's a possible way to find a balance, to spend more time to ourselves. I don't know how to start. Everyone is different because they have this pen. Okay, I give you energy healing. Okay, they have this. Okay, they know there's energy healing through me. They know there's the possibility of emotion is affecting our body. They know that, but I don't know how to make it multiply later on. I'm starting with my customers and factories.
Got it. Okay, fabulous. I will answer that question, and I'll actually start with that because I think that's very important what you're sharing there. Okay, thank you, Yawen. All right, let's come over next. We have got Bonita here. Highlight is I started paying myself a small salary after the urging of Danny. Thanks to him for pushing me. Discovered that my part-time assistant is a dynamo, and I hired another part-time assistant today, which is Blaze. Feeling like I am finally getting some teamwork going, as I knew long ago that I couldn't do everything myself. And I'm also working through the flow consultancy training. I can tell that it will help me immensely, which is awesome. Questions. Number one, any comments on where I should be focusing as I'm building my new team? Want to be clear with their goals as well. Number two, how should I set up a profitable promotion with clear milestones to create cash flow while developing a system to multiply my value? And number three, how better should I be analyzing my pro athlete niche? I'm concerned about knowing what they need and what price they're willing to pay for my solutions. So, okay, so Benita, I'm gonna come back to the same question that I started the last call with, which was with the different connections. And I know you are leaving, on the last call, you were gonna say, right, that's it, I'm gonna go and start connecting to some of those who already have got connections with your customers who are the athletes. So would love to hear how that's going. I'm saying all this stuff, but I'm looking at everyone on here and Benita's not here right now. So that's not really helpful for me to be able to get an answer from her at this point. Okay, well, Benita, I'm sure you're listening to the recording. So what I'm gonna do is say it's good that first of all, you've got well, you heard my question anyway, right? Which is gonna be my question too. But I'll put this down anyway, so at least we got it, that you've got team. At the end of the day, it's all about the customer. Until you have got a customer in front of you that you can speak to, the way that the net is doing right now, you're nowhere. It's just a theory that you've got, that someone somewhere might actually want to work with you. But the moment you get to where the flow is already going, which is where the river is, then the water starts to flow. Like, you got to go to where the flow is. So I know I've been saying that each time we've spoken, I'm interested to know who have you actually now got connected up with, because that's where you base your promotion at this point. And that's all about a level 1 promo. And I'm going to share like, you know, a graduation that we've got, which I think would be helpful to articulate this as we go as well. Okay, and even the question, how better to analyze this, all based on the same stuff, right? So let me do this, team, customer. Okay, all right, so let's go over next to Elaine. And Elaine has here, highlight, I've been asked to speak to 400 postgraduates on nailing the job interview in Gribbly House, where the Prime Minister lives. And I'm bringing what the names into it from slide 19 onwards. That's cool. As it's my first presentation on the subject, is to be a baptism of fire, but being postgraduates, this would be the best time for them to do the test. Point I'll be preparing my talk with. I'm looking forward to hearing some tips to calm my nerves. Okay, and then we got here, top questions. Number 1, my talk is 3/4 of an hour, but I'll have 5 or 10 minutes for talent dynamics. So what would be the best way to grab their attention? And is my 3-tier pricing package right for a single promotion, considering I haven't planned on working with graduates in the future, but I'm very open to it? And number 2, if I find that hundreds of the graduates want to work with me, how will I cope? Okay. And link attached free. Do you think the landing page I've created would work as an online talk with the idea to generate more property customers? Okay, so it looks like we've got 2 things here. So I'll open this up. But Elaine, what, I mean, like, do you have an actual offer you're aiming to offer at the actual event?
Yeah, so if you go, I mean, you don't need to troll right through the Prezzo, but I think Wealth Dynamics starts at slide 19. And
okay,
it's there. So maybe look at slide something like 23, 24.
Okay.
So I've done something like better, best, better, boom. So best is $97, you know, just the normal online do-it-yourself. And then, have you found it?
Nope.
And then best is $300.
So these are students, right?
Grads, yeah.
Okay, right. So they're graduates, and I've got a page here which says why take the test.
Oh, keep coming. You're nearly there.
Okay, so after that, it says just for you today.
Yeah.
Do your better package, best package, and boom package. Do your online test, 1 hour mentorship, 3 hours, and then what do you like if they say, oh, I want to go do one of these? What's the way they do it?
Well, the first one is just the online test, and they get the report. Yeah, the normal token. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Then the second one will be the same. They take token, get the report, but I'll just sit down and do a flow consultancy with them. Just a normal, 3/4 of an hour flow consultancy, like we learned in the flow exam. Yeah. And then, but because it is about the interview, the 3-hour one, I would actually go into more depth with them about NLP, body language. It would just be more of a lane.
Okay, but how do they do it? Like someone goes, oh, I want to take the third one. How do they do it?
It can be, that's what I'm worried about. If I get too many, it can be face-to-face or Zoom.
No, I mean, how do they book up? How do they tell you they're interested? Because there's no...
Okay, so I've just really copied you and said, there's a 3/4 of an hour break after me. And so my last slide is, I will be sitting at this table, come and have a chat with me. And
so I now come and sit at your table to have a chat. What happens there?
Yes, well, that's the bit I don't know because I haven't done flow. No, it's true. That's the bit I don't know because I don't know where they're meant to click through to. And yeah, because when you do it, you send them off to speak to somebody else, don't you? They speak to
a whole team.
And then you get them signed up.
Yeah.
I can get friends to do that. I've got friends coming to support me.
Right. Okay. This is the first time.
Sorry?
This is the first time you're doing something like this, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I only finished the flow thing last week or the week before. I was like, oh shit, I better get on with it.
And how many other speakers are there who are going to be there?
3. 3 of us.
Okay. And what are the other ones speaking about?
Well, all I've got is one of them hasn't even put a head in, but one is called Snakes and Ladders. So all I can imagine is the ups and downs of of career maybe, but I'll find out on Friday.
Okay, but what's the actual, like, what's the subject of the actual talk? Is like the whole, like, what's the theme of the day?
Australian Computer Society. So they're supporting grads coming out of all the big brains, coming out of, you know, all kinds of course degrees, I suppose, so that there's not a brain drain in Australia. Yeah.
Okay, so but like, is it for them to get careers? Is it for, like, what's the problem you're trying to solve for them?
I'm solving the problem that they're coming down out of academia.
No, not you. The theme. The theme was like, why are they attending the actual event itself? What's the event called? Do you know what it's called, or why they're coming?
Well, they're coming because they've been invited.
But
these people do it once a year. It's a big thing that goes on in Sydney.
Okay. So what's it called? What's the name of it?
I'm not sure. I can find that out by the time you come back to me, because I just got sent the run sheet yesterday. I'll give it now if you want. But
well, okay. If you don't know what it's called, like what's the purpose of them being there? Is it because they're trying to find a job? Is it because they're just having a kind of like fun day out? Like why are they there?
No. It's an integration into the workflows from university.
So do most of them have jobs already?
No.
So is this about how do they find a job?
Yeah. Well, mine, yes, I guess, but mine is how do they get in front, you know, the interview. So my talk is called "You Only Get One Chance to Make a First Impression."
Do you know, is this the kind of place where people are actually expecting to buy something?
No, but the people who are putting it together, and they put it together every year, they're very excited that I've come up with the idea.
So they haven't done something like this before, from the sounds of it.
No, but it will be new people every year as well. So they're not going to have returning grads. It'll be new grads every year.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. I get it. Okay. I will answer your questions on that. And you got a landing page here as well, right? Which is a whole separate thing, right? That's for property.
Yeah, it's a whole.
Okay. Okay. So, what's your big thing for next year?
Well, to get into flow more, because I felt very, very stuck, and I felt quite challenged, for one word, a lot of this year. So, yeah, just to get into flow more and be happier. I'm more successful.
With the property side, how's the property side growing at the moment? Is that growing the way you want?
I've suddenly had a bit of a breakthrough, because I was at the point where I thought I was going to have to sell my house. But of course the property market crashed in Sydney at the same time. So I just didn't know what I was going to do. But suddenly I've just signed up $100,000 worth of business.
That's good.
So that's the thing with my business. It can turn on a, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Awesome.
So suddenly the wolf slinks away again.
Okay, cool. All right, thank you, Elaine. All right, I'm going to put that.
I'm just going to go and look for that email. I'll be back.
Yeah, sure. Okay. All right, cool. So, guys, we, I believe, have gone through most of everyone. I can see that we have Coco here. Coco has joined this call, not yet posted any info in, but that's absolutely fine, because Coco is new to our call, and so she's kind of like here experiencing it for the first time. Coco, can you hear? We can't see you or hear you, but can you speak for a moment? Are you there? Hello, Coco. Can you hear us? Hello, Coco.
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
I'm still trying to figure it out. How to.
Okay. Well, listen in on this first call, all right? And then
Yes.
I know we're going to catch up separately, and then from there we'll go from there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. All right. Here's what I'm going to do. Okay, thanks. I'm going to, well, first of all, Coco, do you want to share with everyone who you are and what your main businesses are at the moment?
Okay. In fact, I think I'm a little bit confused in my life now. I'm Coco. I come from Taiwan, and now I'm a supporter, and I'm now helping UNU Global. That's a Korean company. The main business is about cryptocurrency, and I'm the marketing director in Taiwan. But I said that what I mentioned that I feel a little bit confused is because of what I really want to do is about training, and I want to help other people to find what they love, and I have some courses on training about relationship, and some of my friends, they just asked me to help other courses from Malaysia and other countries to my English is not so good, I'm so sorry, to find the customer in Taiwan. But now I'm stuck in my company, my business now. I feel sometimes there's no system in my company now. We have there's some problem. For example, we have a big event tomorrow. There are more than 200 people coming to join the event about cryptocurrency, and I found myself busy working for this event. That's how to say that.
You basically don't want to do your job anymore, is what you're saying.
A little bit.
Exactly.
In fact, I'd love to make money from this business, but I feel very tired because in my company, I feel sometimes I do a lot of things like do the PowerPoint.
Okay, we understand. You don't want to do your job right now. We get it, right? So it's not about your current job and what's not working. It's going to be about what you end up going and deciding to do instead. Because until the thing that you want to do becomes clearer and more compelling than the thing you're doing today, you'll keep on just doing what you're doing today. You know, if you're always talking and thinking about the thing that's not working, you're never going to figure out the thing that's going to work.
Yes.
But the more you're talking about the thing that's going to work and it becomes clearer, then the more you end up doing that. And then you think, why am I even doing the thing that's not working, right? Why? So you just stop doing it. But if everything you're thinking about is the thing that's not working, you've got no time to even think about the thing you want to do. So in 2019, what would be your biggest goal?
I'd like to create a new career. That's what I really have passion.
Yes. Okay.
For example, like what I mentioned about training, help other people, like from their relationship and their life, and find their passion. That's what I really want to do.
Yes.
But I want to take responsibility. Maybe like what you said in Taipei to me, maybe I can have totally different cash flow from different company.
Exactly.
The main thing I do every day is what I really want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you were to add a question, because you've heard other people and the question they've got, what would be your biggest question for me right now?
I wanna know how to be a supporter, like you said to me, that I can have different cash flow from, for example, my company now. I can still help them, but I can do what I really wanna do at the same time. My life now is every day I am tired and busy from the morning to midnight. I was working for my company. I have totally no time to do what I really want. For example, read all the email from your company.
No, you don't have to give examples. We understand the problems you're having, right?
I don't know how to do a better supporter than now.
Yes. Okay, all right. Okay, we're going to talk about that. All right. Okay, so thank you, Coco. I'm now going to share my screen. And you can see on here, I have been posting everyone's pages as we've been going as well. On the Facebook page, we basically have got this here as the title slide. Billionaire Mark Benioff celebrates after San Francisco votes for new tax that will take millions from big tech firms to solve the city's homelessness crisis. the reason I posted this, and you can see the story down here as well, is that he believed that all the tech companies that are taking all the local resources of San Francisco had a responsibility to take some of the percentage of the money that they're making and to give it to the city of San Francisco. And basically he fought for this, and a lot of people said, no, we don't want to do that, but have actually put it in now to actually make it happen. And I think it's a perfect example of what's happening in the world, where global is now supporting local, right? Like, I think this can happen more and more, where cities are going to be the ones that people are going to be willing to pay the money to, even more than national governments. Because you don't know where the money goes to when you go to national government, but in the city, you can see it's going to go and it's going to specifically help something like the homeless. So it's, for me, like such a powerful next step of large companies taking social responsibility for what's going on right on their doorstep. And imagine if all companies were doing that, right? Like everyone everywhere was saying, well, there's so much flow already. We just direct some of that flow to really support the things that need that support without needing to wait, for the government to sort it out, or even thinking it's the government's problem to solve it out, right? So when the government's the one that actually is just trying to take a bit of the money with no control over it and then do something with it, when every one of the entrepreneurs actually already can direct their own money. So I think that's like, a big chunk for where we're going for the future. Got everyone's different sites down here. Just posted them all down here as we go. And if I missed anyone, you can post yours there as well. Here is the themes for the core. Basically, two main themes. Most of them are all the promotion side, right? So Marie, Gabriel, Danette, Mary, Elaine are all around what are the ways to kind of like really make sure that the promotions you're running are more effective. Yawen and Benita are at Yellow 1, which is more around, okay, wait, what's my actual identity? Like what's the organizing principle to really make sure even before I'm doing my promotion, I'm really clear what I should or shouldn't be doing. And then Coco's got one question, which is like really just the starting point, which is, I know what I don't want to do. I have no idea what I want to do, right? Which obviously means that the very next step is going to be getting to Yellow level 1, but creating the bridge to allow that to happen to begin with. So the bridge is knowing until you actually split up your time between Clark Kent time and Superman time, until you say, okay, well, as long as I'm doing something that's exhausting me, that I'm feeling unhappy about, even if I work a 9 to 5, when I get home, I have no energy to do anything else. So when you're in that situation, you're stuck. And you have to say, okay, I have to change this situation to give myself space where I know I'm going to be launching something new. And maybe that's a Saturday you put aside. Maybe that's going to your boss and saying, okay, what I'm going to do is change what I'm doing with you, and I'm going to negotiate. Instead of like working a full-time job, I'm on a contract basis because I need my Fridays aside because there's a new thing I'm going to be doing for my Fridays, right? And if the boss goes, okay, well, you can work 4 days a week, right? Or you can work up until lunchtime on Thursday and Friday. Like you work out a way to carve out some time, because this is all about time going to something new where you've still got flow coming in that's paying for your existing time. And then with that new time, that then gives you a chance to then say, right now, I'm going to go to Yellow level 1, which is all about your identity. So just to reiterate, okay, Orange level 3 is the last level of Orange level, which is all about follow the flow. It's making sure that the flow is going in the right direction. Yellow 1 is all about identify your identity, which is who you are. And then, well, Yellow 2, which we're not really going to cover a lot of, but it's really important, is master your market, which is your customer. So some of you are in that point, it's like, I really got to understand my customer, but you're doing it together with Yellow 3, which is your promotion plan, which is monetize your moment. So what I want to do to start with is I want to answer Yoan's question, and I'm going to like link into Benita's question as well. But I think it's going to kind of link to some of the other things that are showing up here as well. Like, the conversation I had with Marie to begin with, and even like, Gabriel, like then asking the question, what is the biggest need? These kind of things as well, all kind of link in to what I'll share with Yoan. And I'm going to share this in the form of a story, okay? So if I go back, some people ask me this, and I don't share this often just because it doesn't really come up in conversation, but if I go back to like, when was the biggest turning point, like what Yoan's going through right now, right? The biggest turning point of like self-awareness, right? And what happened at that point. And when I was in my late 20s, I was I was already an entrepreneur. I was in Singapore. I was like working like crazy, and I was really focusing really at just like building businesses, right? That's what I was doing. And I had very little self-awareness at that point about the fact that I could change the world, or I could be part of a movement that could change the world. So I definitely wasn't thinking in those terms, which was that, the entrepreneur movement or any of those things, right? I was just like, I'm going to figure out a way that I can be successful and then give back in some way. So I knew about Buckminster Fuller. But I was thinking small, right? I was thinking about me and what I could do in the world. And what happened was we had just gone through a kind of crazy situation where we had raised $3 million from a venture capital firm called 3i. And I had burned through all the money, right? The money had gone, but in my mind, we were going to raise more because 3i was like, oh, we'll give you like another $10 million, all this kind of stuff. And we got to like a horrible, horrible point where the person her name's Melissa, and she was the person who had said, okay, we're going to do the next round of funding at $10 million. And we're spending the $3 million, and we were burning through it because that's what tech companies were doing in those days. And the publishing company was pretty much like a tech company, doing lots of free publications, doing stuff online, and growing very, very fast. And generally, the way we launch new things is when you launch it, it takes about 6 months of cost before it starts making profit. So we had a whole bunch of these things getting launched, and we were burning through like, a couple of $100,000 every single month. And so we were in about July time, and she's like, in June time, she's like, yeah, like we're going to get the next round going. And I said, okay, well, we're going to run out of money by September, right? She's like, yeah, no problem. We'll get it done by then. And so we kept on going. And August comes along, and she's like, oh, I'm going on holiday. And she goes, and I'm like, well, wait, what about our funding? And she goes, yeah, like I'm getting it to the board. It'll all get sorted out. I'm going off to holiday. So then she goes to Spain. And in those days, they didn't have a lot of email and stuff like that, right? So then I'm like chasing her pretty much every couple of days. Hey, Melissa, how's it going? What's the board said? She's like, oh, they're meeting again on it and this and that. Like, it was just delay after delay. And then we're getting to the end of August, and now I'm really nervous, right? And I'm like, hey, look, I'm like what's going on, right? Like, like I've got all these staff, and, we're not going to make payroll in September if I don't get it sorted out. And it's only a month away. He's like, don't worry, Roger, it's going to get sorted anyway. Like, that's, and we got to September, and I think I've got to have a plan B. So I then contacted the printers, right? Because we're doing a lot of printing with the printers. And I'd negotiated with the printers like 6 months credit. So we owed the printer like a couple of $1 million. And the printer said, hey, can we bring down the payment terms? Now you've got like your like rich sugar daddy, you've got like, like this like venture capital firm giving you all this money. Why are we having to fund all this stuff now? Let's change the deal. And I'm like, no, there's not the time to change the deal. Change it later, blah, blah. And he's like, okay, well, look, when I go to him and I said, look, I've got a challenge now, which is that we're not going to make the payroll if we don't sort this out. And I don't know if they're going to sort it out in time. Melissa says they will, but I'm not sure. And so he's like, this is Lim Gok-Trun. He's the guy who actually runs what was the largest printing company in Singapore. So he says, don't worry, Roger, like, we're on good terms. If you really need the money at the end of the month, you tell me, I'll cover it as a loan, right? And then basically we can just put it onto the credit you owe already. And then after that, like, we'll sort it out, right? And I was like, okay, thank you so much for that. So now we're into the last week of the month, right? And on the last week of the month, I'm like, okay, it's clearly not going to happen. So I'm saying to Melissa, and she's not even replying. She went off on some trek somewhere. So I'm like, I'm trying to run this business, and I've got all this nuts, and my stress level was so high during all of this. And so we're in the last week, and then I'm saying to Lim, I'm like, hey, Lim, like, it's not coming through. Can I call you on that amount? He says, how much do you need? And I said, I need $400,000, right, to cover everything. And so he's like, all right, okay, well, look, I'll get the CFO, he'll send it through to you. So I'm waiting, and it's like the day before payroll, and still he hasn't got through to me. And so I then contacted him and said, look, I'm really concerned about this. I don't want us to have payroll and to miss payroll. And he's like, okay, I'll get the final. He's got something he wants you to sign. He'll send it through to you. So I'm waiting, and it's basically on pretty much the last moment that I can actually get a bank clearance through to make the payroll. And I get this fax. So you were still using faxes in those days. So the fax comes through, and the fax says, this is confirmed that we're taking a $400,000 loan to pay payroll and other expenses at the end of the month while we're waiting for the amount. And this will be paid immediately back as soon as we get the funding from 3i. So will $1.5 million of printing when we kind of move it from 6 months credit back to 3 months credit. And I'm like, what? No. So of course I phone up Lim, and I'm like, Lim, like, you can't do this. You can't tie this to this. The 3i would not agree to this, right? And he goes, oh, well, look, you know, I mean, if you don't want to take the money, and I'm like, are you seriously doing this? You're blackmailing me pretty much for this money. And he's like, oh, I wouldn't put it that hard, but like, we have talked about this, and, you know, I'm doing you a favor, so like, you're doing me a favor, right? And I'm like, but and at the end I had to sit there, and he says, you make a decision, right? What you want to do. So I sat there, I tried to call Melissa again, could not get through. And so I said, now I've got to make the call. I got some of my team, like senior team together. I said, what do you think we should do? They're like, Roger, you need to make payroll. If you don't make payroll, when people already are wondering about the finances of the business, you're going to have people walk, right? And you're going to have customers talking about it, right? And I was like, holy cow. So I signed the thing, the money came through, I made the payroll. The next week, I get through to Melissa. I said, Melissa, this thing was not done in time. I've had to take a loan. She's like, yeah, I knew you'd figure it out somehow. And I said, yeah, but the problem was by taking a loan, now we need to pay 1.5 million back to, and he goes, are you kidding me that they made you sign that? And I said, I had no choice, right? And like, if we'd sorted this out earlier, we wouldn't have had to do this. She goes, well, we're definitely not putting the money in if you've got partners who are going to kind of like blackmail us like that. And I said, no, you can't like not put the money in now because of this. So the whole thing became this nightmare where I was so stressed. I was not sleeping at night. The whole thing was crazy. And at the end, they said, right, we're going to bring in someone from overseas to like decide what we're going to do with you. And they brought in this publishing head, and he came in, he took like a week looking at all our stuff, and he was interested to find out where our money had gone, right? And he didn't come from a tech background. So the idea that we were burning through money was not his background. And 3i themselves were like battening the hatches because the .com bust had just happened. They're like within that last couple of weeks as well. So they were like, oh no, a lot of our investments are going the wrong way. We better be super careful about what we do with our payments. And so what happened was he then got a board meeting where we all got around the board meeting, and it was on a Friday morning. We had the board meeting. He pretty much says, the issue is Roger's is a really bad CEO. He's making really bad decisions. He shouldn't be allowed to make these kind of decisions. It would be silly for us to lose the money we put in, so we should put more money in, but only on the basis that we can actually kind of like effectively hobble him, like get like a team that he needs to report to for any big decision he's going to make, right? And then we'll also put the money in, but at a different valuation, which made me like a tiny minority in my own company, right? And they said, so what do you want to do? And they were offering me like, what, another $1 million that they were going to put in straight away, like that day. And I was looking at the whole situation and thinking, like in me, I was like, I just don't want to do this. And so I said, I just got to go think about this, right? And they go, okay, well, get back to us. So I left the office. I got on my motorbike. I went down to the beach on East Coast, and then I was sitting there, and I spent the entire day on the beach. And I went through this whole process, which was really like a self-awareness process. It was like dying and being born again. And that whole process was the weirdest thing I'd ever gone through. And it was like probably partly because of the stress and everything else that was happening. But what happened was I sat there and I basically said, no, I'm not going to do this. Well, first of all, before I went through the process, I said, I'm not going to do this because it just does not feel right. And I called them up and I said, I'm not going to do it. And they said, well, you're just putting a death sentence in your own business because you haven't got any other way to get the cash in. I said, I don't care. I'm not going to, I did not start this business for me to start working for some other people with a tiny minority in my own business, right? So no, I'm not going to do it. And then I sat there thinking, oh, I can't even go home. I can't even tell my wife that I've done this. I can't even go to my office and tell the office people I've done this. Like, what am I going to do, right? And so I'm sitting there, like totally lost, like thinking one moment I'm a success, next minute I'm a total failure. And it's like the whole thing's collapsing all around me. And as I'm sitting there, I go through this process of like, then what's life actually really all about? Like why, like I've been striving all my life for success, you know, like I'm being given $1 million on the plate and all I need to do is just report to some people and I'm saying no to it. Why am I saying no to that? Like if someone had offered me $1 million a couple of years earlier, I would have said, brilliant, yeah, what do you want me to do? And here I'm saying no. So something weird is going on that I don't understand. And I'm like, well, then what is success, right? If it's not, you know, it's financial success, growth in business, what is it? And I sat there and I couldn't figure out what that was. So then I said, well, then what is life? Like, what do I want out of life? And I had my journal and I started writing in my journal, well, what do I want out of life, right? And I started thinking, well, it's not a big car, it's not a house, it's not a big company. It's the stuff that stuff gives you, right? So it's like having a loving family, having an awesome meal, watching a sunset. And I started writing down these different experiences of things. And then I was like, well, wait, I've had a lot of these experiences already. Even though I'm like only turning 30, I've had these experiences. So what is there to live for? So I kept on writing more and more experiences to try and see if I could find an experience I'd not at some point experienced in some point in my life, and I couldn't find any. So I actually got to a point where I was like, well, there's no experience I'm actually still waiting to have, which means there's no point in living, right? And so I'm like, well, if I was to die now, like if I was to walk out and the bus was to hit me, would I be okay with that? Like that, it's like, hey, I've lived a full life. You know, I've strived to get to a success. I'm more successful than most people my age, and like, is that okay? Is that done, right? Like, I experienced everything I want to experience. And the answer that came to me was yes, it's actually okay. So I went through this process where I actually was physically going to go walk out and just get hit by a bus. It's like, it's done. I got nothing else. In fact, the future was so bleak. It was like, why even live the future when I've already had such a great life? Why not just finish it on a high, right? And it was the most horrifying experience, because I had this massive emptiness about the fact that I was about to kill myself. And at the same time, I had this massive emptiness about the fact that if I didn't kill myself, I was like destined for this horrible life of just emptiness, because there's nothing to live for anymore. And so I sat there for probably about an hour. It was in a Starbucks, and I was sitting an hour just like experiencing this. And at the end, I basically didn't obviously walk out on the front of the bus, but I just sat and said, well, if this is where I'm at, is there any other way to look at this? And what I did was I thought, well, like in a computer game, like if you've won, like if you've like say I've gone through all the levels and it's like tick 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 tick, and I've won all of it. What happens in a computer game? Because what generally happens is there's this kind of winner's low that happens, and I experienced this also when I was at university and I was rowing. You'd be working so hard the whole time for the races at the end of the quarter. You'd do the races, and on the last day of the final race, you'd have this massive low, because it was like everything we worked for was finished. Even if you won, you'd still be on a low, because it's like, it's over, right? That's it, finished. Like, it was just so all-consuming, and now it's done. And so that's a winner's low. Happens in a lot of computer games. People finish and they're like, and the computer maker doesn't want you to finish on a low, because if you finish on a low, you're not going to go buy the next game, right? So what they do at the end of it is they then, like, straight away after you're finished, it then says bonus round. And when the bonus round comes up, then the bonus round is like when you get, oh, cool, I get to play another level, but you're not trying to win anymore because you won already, right? So it's a whole different experience. In fact, it's 10 times better, because now you're playing the bonus round and you're just having fun and you're exploring and you're doing this and you're doing that, and you're the winner, right? You won, so you're not even trying to win. So the striving is over. And I thought about that and I thought, holy cow, game's over, right? Like, game's over, which means now I've got a bonus round, right? But it's not even just a bonus round, it's a bonus life. I don't have to try win anymore. I've won. So because I've won, because I've done everything I wanted to do, there's nothing else to strive for. There's no chip on my shoulder of having to like be more, right? I'm a full, I'm a whole, right? And now, if I was to play again, how would I play this next round? Like, I've kind of been born again, how would I play it? And I had this massive like revelation, which is, well, I would just give back. I would just go like, just try everything to kind of go from the top level, like go out there, make a difference in the world, like be known, be remembered, like be like a Mandela, or be like a, Steve Jobs, be someone that basically then people would hear about, know about, because you're just playing full out, because there's nothing to lose, right? And you'd only stop yourself doing those things if you actually thought you were going to lose something. So I'm like, that's what I'm going to do, right? And I got so excited, and I then basically went to all different people, like everywhere I was going for about 6 months. People thought I'd gone crazy, right? They really did. And I did have to sell the company. I did have to but in my mind, I was like this whole different person. And there's this saying, which is you most want to teach what you most need to learn, right? And so I was totally at the very beginning of self-awareness at that point. And I was like just totally overdoing it. And I was like saying, oh, you need to help. Don't you even get like how amazing this planet is, and the fact you can be anyone and do anything. And they're like, what the hell is wrong with Roger, right? And so that whole thing about basically like wanting to go out, like, so when Yawen's like, hey, I'm learning all this stuff, I want my suppliers to be learning this stuff. Like, they all need this stuff. And we all feel that in some way, right? It's like, everyone on this call in some way is like meeting people where it's like, if only they knew, right? If only they knew what I knew, or if only they were learning what I'm learning right now. But the reality is, it's not for you to impose self-awareness on anybody. It's not for me to do that either. And I only got that after some time, when I got enough pushback from people saying, just shut up, Roger, like, we've heard you already and you're kind of boring now, that it made me think, okay, I got to change what I'm actually saying and doing. And I realized, actually, I don't have to say anything. I just got to do. Right, and that's when I just wrote the book. That's when I, came up with Dynamics. That's when all that stuff happened. It all happened within about maybe 6 to 8 months of this craziness happening. And then everything that I'm doing now took off from that one point. So I share that story. I don't know if I've ever shared that story in a Chris Circle call. I don't think I have. But I share that story because it's so important that as you're going on your journey, that your own internal processes and what you think you know is such a tiny microcosm of everything that's out there. And there are people that are lower than you in consciousness, and there's people that are higher than you in consciousness, and they're all going to actually see you through their lens anyway. And so the most important thing is to say, wherever I'm at, rather than me trying to be the one that's imposed, like trying to get people to my level, I've just got to get better at getting to their level, right? Wherever they happen to be, just get to the level of wherever they're at, and then come from that space of service, of how can I serve them from their level, where it's irrelevant what my level is, right, to anybody, because they're like, the ones below me won't get it anyway, and the ones above me will be like, oh, that guy thinks he knows what he's talking about, but he has no idea. Either way, you never win, right? So it's not even about where you're at, it's always about where they're at and how to serve them. What I would say in the case of someone like Yawen is it's about saying, well, who's your customer? Because your customer is not your partner, it's not your supplier. So let them go on their journey. Guide them if you want to say, hey, maybe you want to try this, and if you do, let me know, without even giving them a number. Because if they're going, oh, thank you very much, that sounds awesome, and they never contact you, you already know they weren't ready for it anyway, right? The moment you give them a number, give them a detail, that's not good, because then it means the next time it's like, hey, did you contact? So, oh, I haven't done that yet. They weren't ready for that anyway. So like, don't give someone the spoon when they actually should be there, like, asking you and saying, okay, and when they're ready for it, they're like, oh, okay, can you give me that number? And then you give it to them, and then they take action on it. They know they're the ones that asked for it, or they weren't given it by you, where they're going, oh, Yawen wants me to do her stuff or whatever, right? And so really super important that you say, but wait, who are my customers again? It's the people who currently are using the diapers. It's everything we've talked about, which still needs to be executed, which is getting the branding up, getting all that stuff done, and be okay with the fact that everyone's at different levels of consciousness from you, and they'll be suffering in whatever the way they're suffering. And until they actually want to go down the journey you're going down, don't go and start trying to create products and other stuff for them, because that's, again, just you trying to teach to other people what you still need to learn, right? So that would be the number one thing. Keep narrow and focus on the kind of things that are actually most important to do. With Bonita, I'd say the same thing. It's like your flow of people, like I mentioned, who already are sports. Like, as soon as someone becomes a professional athlete, they are inundated by people wanting to give them financial advice. So it's not enough to just say, I want to write a book that's going to teach people who are athletes how to be financially free or financially stable, because you're not the first. As we've talked about, there's many, many people out there. So it's more about how you're actually delivering service to a particular person who is that first customer. Just like Danette's doing. She's like, right, I've got my 10 people. I'm going to go to them. I want to find out what it is that they need. But then I'm going to actually put them down a pathway where you still want to be testing out your own pathway. That's really important, but you're doing it in a way that then actually works for you. Okay, so let's go into now each of these different areas and what those pathways look like, right? So what I'll do is I'm actually going to work backwards on this, right? So I'm going to start with Elaine here. And what I will do is do this. Let's have a look here. Let me change my chat. All right. Okay. So first of all, on the event, whenever you're in a multi-speaker event, it's, in my experience, not a great idea to be trying to sell something unless, well, it sounds to me like they're okay with you sitting down with people and going through it, right? But generally, if you have one person selling and the other people not selling, you end up with people going, oh, that person was trying to sell me something and the other people weren't. And you don't want to be that person, right, that's doing that. If everyone's selling something, that's a whole different kind of event, right? Or if it's your event and people know that you're offering things, then that's okay too, right? Like, that's what I do. But if I'm ever in an event where I know no one else is selling anything, I won't sell anything. I just won't do it, right? Yeah, so really important. Now, having said that, that doesn't mean you can't be offering something for free. So the other thing is, you'll never, ever, ever see me ever put up a slide with free options at an event. Why? Okay. Because you want everyone to be directed towards one thing and making just a simple decision, which is, am I going to do this or am I not? As opposed to, oh, I don't know which one to do, right? So really super important that at an event, you want to just say, here's the one thing. And what I would recommend is you're giving them one thing which is free. Because if you give them one thing which is free, it gives them that opportunity to try something out, to do something, which then gives you an easy way to then follow up with the people who actually want it for free. And then you're then guiding them through that process. And now you can explain it to them, right? You can say, hey, like, here's the process, which is going to really help you. First of all, I've got a simple guide. You can even take the Wealth Dynamics e-guide, for example, which is already there. And you can say, I've got a simple guide that I'm actually going to be emailing to those of you who really want it. And with that guide, I'm going to give you the option of being able to actually take this test. And I'll give you the link to take the test as well from the guide, right? And so that way, you'll probably get most of the people in the room who will then actually then say, yep, I want to do that, okay? And in doing that, what you're looking for is you're looking for all of their email addresses, right? That's what ideally you'd want to have. If they're all students, they may not be so interested in email. They might be more interested in like mobile phone. Now, there are basically SMS services you can get. You can do a QR code, which sounds like you've got there already, where they basically are then actually sending to you something which allows you to capture all their email addresses, right? So you want to get all the email addresses so that you can then say, this is what I'm going to send to you. So everyone goes brilliant, right? So they're all super excited because, and the reason, by the way, I'm saying don't even do the 45-minute thing is you can't just have your friends there, like, making sales, because it requires a lot of training, requires like really setting it up for success. And if we ever get a team that's not trained in the right way, I can be as great as I am, but there's still people who aren't going to do stuff because that final piece is the wrong people, right? So don't so 100% just do something which is free. We've got this really awesome guide. Here's the pathway. You can show them that on one slide. You say the pathway is, we're going to give you this free guide. And if those of you all find value in the guide, it'll be brilliant. And if you decide from the guide, you actually want to take the test, which is going to be really valuable for your own awareness of how you go about deciding what kind of career you go into or what your profile is, then you can do that, right? And you'll see that there's a price point for you to do that when you come on board, and it's not that expensive to do, right? Don't even tell them what the price point is. Just tell them that it's something that's an easy thing to do. And you say, and then I'm willing to help those who really would love the help to do, a special consult with you. So I'm there to support you and make sure that happens. And again, the charge for that isn't that much either, right? And then basically, if there's extra things you need also or support from me, I can be there for you too. So you create you create something more valuable than any of the other speakers, because then they're like, oh, she's actually going to help me after this. When the other speakers won't be saying that, okay, I definitely want to go to Lane because she's going to help me. And then they're all waiting for the email. You send the email, and then you follow up the email, say, hey, if you like the guide, here's the next step, right? And you can see who's opened your emails. So you can see, so you're qualifying the people that are the most active, and you follow them one by one. And you never get in a situation where 100 people are signing up for your stuff, because if you get to the point where you've got the people that are saying, yes, I'm doing the $97 one, and then you're following up with those people, and then they're saying, yeah, I want to actually have time with you or not, you can say, I'm only going to take 10 people or 20 people, and then they go, well, then I want to be one of those people, right? And you might even say that on stage. You might say, look, while there's 400 people here, I clearly can't give my personal time to all of you, but what I'll do is that for those of you who do come on board and decide you want to take it further, you can let me know, and whoever the first 20 or so that come to me and say, hey, I want to work with you, then at some point I'll have to stop it because I can't do it with everyone. But those who are the most keen, most excited, definitely I'll be the first to respond to you, right? So then that way they kind of get that sense, which is like, ooh, I want her time. She's giving it to me. Even if there's a charge of some sort, I want to know what that is. And you'll find that at the end of that, that at the break, there might even be some people coming up to you and saying, hey, I heard what you said. I really want to be one of the first people, right? So and then you can go, great. Well, then I can, give me your card. I'll make sure that when I send you, the email, that I look out for your response as well. And then that way it just makes it so much cleaner, and then you're not stressing for the event. Does that make sense?
Yeah, really fantastic. But they have to pay $47 for the token. Is that right?
Well, whatever you want to charge for the token. I think you said you want to charge.
What do I have to pay for it? For
the token? Well, it depends how many you buy, right? So, you can wholesale 100 for 30 each, or people buy them. I can't remember exactly what it is for the flow consultants.
I'm just having trouble having people helping me. I thought I was meant to have an email after I finished the flow exam with all the information. So I'm kind of running out of time. I've asked almost everybody I can think of, and no one's come back to me with that kind of really basic information.
What, for flow consulting? In terms of just getting tokens?
Yeah.
But because you're getting tokens every month already as a flow consultant, right?
Yeah, I should have, yeah.
Yeah, you're definitely doing that. We're definitely doing that. So if there's any issue with your tokens or anything like that, in terms of actually not knowing, how many you've got or how to get them, then Kathleen's the person to connect with. You should have
Kathleen. Yeah, okay, I'll try Kathleen.
Yeah, she's the person. She can just, and she'll tell you how much to get extra ones, stuff like that as well. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I'll reach out to Kathleen. Hopefully she'll get back to me.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so yeah, and then on the property one, we'll just look at that for a second. This is this one here. Unlock your financial strengths. Spelling typos, super important, right? So H.
Well done.
Yeah. Take financial action and veil the challenges holding you back. Become financially fierce. So most people don't know what financially fierce will mean. I don't know what it means. So you want to be using like, terminology or wording that people can like relate to. But I would also cut it down to one specific thing, right? Because there's so many things that are here. So it could be something like, well, what has this got related to property? But if you say, are you ready to unlock your financial, strengths, to profit from the property market, ? Something which is more linking in with it, then that's the way to do it. And then off the back of that, obviously, whenever you're doing numbers, always do numbers left justified, because then it's kind of confusing looking at it when it's all centered like this. And whenever you're actually doing lines, never have an orphan line where you just have like one word.
Sure.
So these are all things that actually, because how people's eyes track and what they look at is like super important at the way they're doing it. And even just looking at like how, you're going from like capitals for a headline down to like lowercase for a headline. People want to know a headline's a headline, a subtitle is a subtitle, text is text, body copy is body copy. So you got to always have those three criteria so people know, oh, this is because some people just scan through looking for the headlines, and if they're looking all different and they're all treated different, that's not going to be so good, right? Going through and having imagery of people, people will recognize someone like Phil McGraw, right? But saying, why is he sitting on something to do with property, that's going to confuse them. So even the imagery you use has got to be linked again directly to basically the whole property side. Change your thoughts, change your life, how to build a rock solid mindset that you put in control. If someone's linked on the property side, because if this is all about the property, right? It's all new word property, they'll be like, what's that got to do with property? Okay, women may have, so it's like, wait, what's this got to do with women, right? Shining light in the world of real estate. Okay, so you finally get onto this, but it's like, it's too disconnected to who someone is that might be reading this. Unless you're saying this is specifically for women leaders in property, then you can say that, but otherwise, this is where people get really confused. And I keep to one video instead of two, because you got one video up here and then you show the video again. So you're just pulling it down to one, and you should have sign up buttons, which you kind of do here. Never have the button of the same color as the background, because then they don't even know it's a button, right? Okay. Make it bright yellow or something different, whereas obviously the button they need to click. Similarly, never put the text at the same color as the text that shows up elsewhere. We don't know what's clickable and what's not clickable. So these are all just basic stuff around how people's psychology works when they're looking at a page, but like super important, like for something like this, that they won't necessarily book.
No, I'll do that.
Back of it. Okay. And then just looking for proof. Where are the stories? Where are the stories? Where are the stories?
Proofs at the bottom. Keep going.
They are, right. So at the bottom, you start getting the stories, right, which is cool. So you got all the content here. It's just all about the tracking and the design, right? But I can see you pulled together a pretty solid page outside of those things I just mentioned. All right. Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, fabulous. Oh, there we go. Okay, cool. Okay, great. So let's continue. We're going to come over next to Mary. So Mary's here. Oh, my power's going down. What happened there? Well, good thing I noticed. Okay. All right. So here we have Mary, where when you're in a situation as you are, Mary, the most important thing is what are your big promotion plans where people will always remember your last promotion. So having something like just an event, which is going off your existing database, and then obviously the database is growing smaller, and so then the people coming for the events get smaller, and they don't know that you're part of it, and so on, right? That's where the challenge is, right? People unsubscribe, all those kind of things as well. So the most important thing is to know that today, people aren't really as responsive as they were to email anymore anyway. So part of this may not even be that people, you think it's because people don't know you're still involved. It could just be they're just not even reading the emails, right? And that they might even be getting emails that they're not opening because they're going into other folders and so on. So the whole email industry is like changed massively. We do about 80% of all of our lead generating and sales outside of emails. We don't even use emails anymore. So while emails still happen, it's much, much more about retargeting, which is basically like, going out, uploading all your email list onto Facebook and onto, Google AdWords, and creating your custom audience, which basically means that like every time that one of those people, even the ones that unsubscribed, when they go to Facebook, they'll see your ad, right? They'll see, something saying, Mary speaking, hosting an event with such and such. And they'll go, oh, I didn't know she was still doing that. That looks pretty cool, right? But because they know you already, they know your company, they see the graphic, they're much more likely to actually connect with you that way around. And of course, once you do a custom audience, it allows you to then actually create a lookalike audience. So these things are all, you can go and find out how to create a custom audience on Facebook, right? And it just takes you all the steps, how do you do it, like what the steps are, and so on. And the moment you choose to upload this, put it up there, and straight away from there, you can then create a lookalike audience where you're saying, I want to find people just like the people that already are my audience, right? And so that will then say, oh, all the other people also interested in health. Or it will then actually create a whole new audience of people that you're not even in contact with yet. And then, of course, you can then actually get really targeted and say, we're going to look for people specifically in our city who are interested in health or in wellness. And then you're getting to everyone else out there that, again, you're not in contact with. So you will then find that your entire list grows pretty quickly. And as you're capturing all the people that start clicking on the things that you're doing, and you're making sure you've got basically the pixels in there to actually retarget them, just by doing those simple steps, you then find that the people who are then coming to your websites are then going to see your ads as well. And you're going to start growing your community far, far, far greater, because that's what's missing at the moment. And you put your promotion plan together and start saying, right, now we're going to actually increase the number of people that are coming on board or that we're getting connected to. So as an example, when we look at what we measure, right? Let me just post this in here as well. And let me just show, I'll just put the links down here. Like how to create a lookalike audience. There it is. And here's lookalike audience on Facebook. And basically it takes your custom audience and then it allows you to create a new audience, even like desired audience size, all this stuff. It's like, it just shows you how to do it. And you can always go onto Upwork or someone to find someone that will do all this for you if you don't want to do any of this, right? You can see it makes you just allows you to do it so easily to just get it set up and to get it going, right? And then of course you can then create your target audience off the back of it as we managed. And like the good thing about Facebook is they have so many hundreds of thousands of merchants that use this. They basically have made it so easy to use. You can just read it, follow the steps, and then off you go, right? And if you then say, okay, well, how do we track this? The way we do it is we will look at, I'll just go to one of our dashboards, like, let's do the EI dashboard. So we look at our dashboards every week. And so here is, oops, it's at the top. Here it is. So here is the dashboard for Entrepreneurs Institute, and we'll be tracking exactly how many people. If I go to like a recent one, let's go to, let's say October just finished, right? So you can see our pixeled audience is what we mean in terms of people who we're not even collecting their email address. All we're doing is we're basically, as they come to our website, we're dropping their pixel. Right, so it's like, Facebook pixels. And then it's like, this actually makes most of the ads. This one actually easy setup. You can see here. And it actually drops a pixel in on, it's a little bit of code that goes on your page. And so that anyone who comes to the page, Facebook keeps a track of them. Then you say, I want to advertise to that person now as well. And then they will then retarget to that person after they come to your page, so they start seeing your ads everywhere. So anyone who comes to our pages will start seeing our ads everywhere. And then, of course, once they've seen it like 3-4 times, they're like, oh, I want to do more of that stuff. It's like super important as you go that you're actually tracking it. So you can see here that on our numbers, week 1, we had 13,500 new audience with pixeled audience, right? Now, by the second week, it was 19,000, right? And it's been tracking around about 19,000, 17,000. That adds up pretty quick, right? That's like 88,000 for the whole month that we're actually tracking. And then that's new people, right, that actually came in that month. And so the key thing is by doing that, you're in a position to constantly be bringing new people on board. That's the best way to attract new people, is that you're actually doing that, and then people then hear about what your offers are, what your specials are to come on board. it's also the way to reactivate the old customers, because obviously the old customers also will start seeing your stuff again in a way that they might not even be getting your emails at the moment. And then they'll go, okay, we want to be a part of that too. And in terms of attracting naturopaths, it's exactly the same thing, right? It's like people out there already are on Facebook. They're already, using different, using Google. So to be out in front of those people makes it much, much easier to find those people. And also in terms of really getting a really strong naturopath, obviously if you're out going to your own customer base and saying we're hiring, and you let them know you're hiring, there's going to be some of them who then know people that go, hey, there's an opportunity to come and actually work with you as well, right? And obviously if you're actually out there, right, and you're basically saying what are naturopath jobs, there are so many people out there that are already looking for people and obviously getting results, right? So you can see them all. That's New York, but here's one for Australia. And there's 64 jobs right now in Australia, right? So the key thing with many of these here is two things. First of all, seeing how they actually put them up, how they've gone about featuring it, right? Getting out, because of course you're going to get a bunch of people applying once you go down this line, right? To actually get to the thing. And actually you can see these ones are all fairly recent, 5 days ago, 7 days ago, 5 days ago. But the other thing is, even before you put it on, you can contact any one of these guys and say, hey, just want to let you know, just want to find out, how's your naturopath advertising going? Have you found a successful client yet? They might say, yeah, we found someone we're pretty happy with. You can say, well, I'd love to see, is it possible for it to, because we're looking for a naturopath right now, it's possible to send over some of the other people that weren't successful, but you thought were quite good, right? You'll be amazed at what people are willing to do to help you if you're all in the same industry looking to actually support each other, right? But the most important thing is just getting in there and getting out. You'll find a person pretty quick, right? That's my belief. Let's come over to now Danette, right? So Danette on, well, first of all, the key thing is it's awesome that you're actually saying, right, I'm gonna have this list, I'm gonna go to that list, I'm gonna find out what it is they need. The reason that it's really important to have a sense of what you're gonna deliver is it allows you to test out your best ideas while still being open to what they might want to do as well. So for example, you could say, okay, I'm going to, something like high performance hiring, right? Like on something like that, you could say, well, I've actually got a program that I think could really work with and help with you right now, which actually gets you really good people. And I actually do this program in one of 3 different ways. So one way I do it is that I actually walk with you and mentor through an actual hire. And that, so we go all the way from beginning to end on that hire. And what I do to really make sure it works is I make sure that it's worthwhile on the hire. So I charge basically 10% of whatever, or 20% of whatever their first month's salary is going to be. So someone goes, oh, that's cool. So if it's a high level hire, low level hire, I don't know if that will work financially for you, but something like that allows them to associate with the value they're getting from this person to what you're going to actually charge and go, well, that was worth it, right? 20% to get the right person on board. But that's one thing. It's like, well, that's one thing that I do. But the second thing is actually walk through your current processes. We ensure that we've got all the right agreements together. We ensure we've got the right interviewing that we do together, right? And that process basically takes 3 months for us to really make sure we've got all the pieces in place. And if we do it that way around, then here's the price of doing that, that we're set at the moment. And then we've got one, which is basically if someone's already going to be, hiring 10, 20 people over the year, we actually have a pathway where I'm on call to support and help with that all the way through the year as well. And that's normally at this price. And I say that because I'm actually quite open to negotiation and to something that's going to work for you and your budgets. But it's more about what's your biggest need. So just from what we talked about and what we shared, I think this is probably the right thing for you. What's your thoughts? And they might say, yeah, I agree. I think that's the right thing. Or they might say, I really like the other one, right? The one below, the one above. Or they might say, is there any other way we can work together? Because what I really need is, and then it's like, okay, sure. You can still go outside of your idea and products, but at least you learned what they liked or didn't like about the way, at least you got the practice of actually, here's what I'm thinking of doing. Otherwise, you'll be there speaking to them and they're like, there's nothing to actually push against. And they'll be like, so how can you help us? And like, well, I'll go put a proposal together, come back to you. And of course, at that point, you're not getting any feedback as to what they actually really want in a way that when you offer and then basically say, do you want these or something else? It's like going to a restaurant and the chef comes out. What would you like to eat? You could eat anything. What would you like? It's like, oh, geez, I don't even know. It's totally different from coming out and saying, well, we have 3 dishes at the moment, which we can prepare for you. These are the 3 dishes. Do you like any of them? Because if not, we can always do something special for you. It's like, oh yeah, I really like this one, right? Or it's like, no, I'm looking for something which has kind of got like more vegetables in it, or something that's kind of like, you know, a bit sweeter. It's like, oh, then I can make you this. It's like, oh, that would be great. So it's always about basically like what is fixed, what is movable, and actually being able to kind of dance between those two to really start learning as you go, which is really important. I would say that in terms of how do you create attraction? Like, how do you create attraction for people that don't know me, for example, with the Entrepreneur Fast Track? What I would say on that is it's not actually even about me. It's about their challenge or what they're looking to get support in. What we found is that when you actually, you know, take the EFT page and it actually goes through, here's the challenge, here's the things that you get from it, and the fact that, you know, you've got trust, they trust you, and you're saying, I really think you should come to this, because when you get this level of learning, and, you know, Roger, here's his bio, he's coming in, right? It's the first time he's actually coming to do this here. Like, this gives you a chance to really get like from world-class, you know, thinking, how to go about being entrepreneurial, how to be thinking in a way that really helps you to like 10x your impact. And so people are thinking more about the benefit to them rather than you trying to sell me or trying to sell, you know, our products, right? It's about like, here's like, what's the big problem you're trying to solve? If you knew you could actually spend half a day to actually help solve that problem, would that be worth going? It's like, yes. Well, then you should definitely come along for that reason, right? So that's been the way that everyone else has been successful at bringing people on board. It's great that we got Gabriel on the call, because he's actually running his EFT, and you heard just through getting his partners, he's already getting up to like, what, 50 people. So definitely it's worth you guys chatting with each other, right? And kind of like sharing, which would be pretty good. Top things for a mechanic creator is definitely to find your blaze person. Because the moment you got your blaze person, that person can help you build a team, they can help you get partners, they'll be on the phone all day, and that's really what you want, someone that can actually get out there and do that job, right? Then as you start growing, then you can get someone who's more the tempo steel, like the accumulator type, that can come in and actually then help to run all the finances and the back end stuff, right? But that's really what you want to be finding. For Gabriel, how to leverage EFT to grow the business. It's great that you've got the flow in EFT. I think that's fantastic. You're already leveraging it, by the way, by getting partners on board, which I think is really, really good. You want to have your own offerings of what are the things that you currently are doing, so the partners can then already start partnering with you on those things as well. Obviously, at the EFT, I'll also be getting you to share and talking about the things that you're doing. So all those people that come to EFT would then actually have the ability to then lead on from there as well. So having your name in there as the host, as the sponsor, like all of that is going to then leverage naturally, right? And that's what we've seen all the people that have actually been running EFTs have done, is actually giving them that ability to grow. Prepping it to say, right, when we actually run the event, you should already have when are your entrepreneur socials going to happen, or when are your next workshops going to happen. So we can talk about that and say, hey, you can be involved in these different things. So that will then lead into all of this as well, and making sure that the branding of it and the fact that you're doing this and people going, oh, wow, you're the guy that's bringing that in, that's showing up on your personal branded side, that's showing up in your company side. So, you know, even coming to the likes of your site like Talento, right? You know, it should be here, right? It should be here already, like saying, hey, we've got this big event that's coming up. So it's building your brand, because by association, you're actually now connecting your company to the big stuff that you're doing, right? So that's really what you should be doing at this point. And the biggest need for us in Latin America really is making sure that we have got the beginnings of a Spanish version of our wealth dynamics, our wealth spectrum, you know, and that's what we're really wanting to work on at the moment. So that's like a huge thing. And Latin America is a massive market that we haven't tapped into yet. At the TLC that I'm going to, we have people there from Brazil, we have people there from Argentina. These are all people that basically have got really big followings. And by us actually saying, hey, we've actually got now the products available for Latin America, that's going to make a huge difference to them as well, wanting to come work with us as well. So that's the biggest need, is actually just getting the Spanish version going, and then actually being able to really expand into the rest of Latin America. I personally believe it's going to be just like South Africa, and what's happened in terms of like the just massive growth of the entire continent right now as well. So you're on the right track, keep filling it, and then you'll see the knock-on effect that happens once you do that by integrating your branding with all the EFT stuff, and you positioning yourself as like the #1 leader that's bringing in all of these flow tools that people can be using as well, right? For Marie, like you know, if you were to ask the same questions, like what's our biggest need, is definitely to have awesome people coming along for our events, like for you to be there as a partner, bringing people along to it as well. Like, and then of course, if we're there, I'll be talking about it on stage. You can be videoing that, right? I'll be sharing about how awesome it is and what Marie's doing. Someone can video it as I'm talking to you about that. These are all things that actually make it really easy when you're helping us for us to help you, right? And that's exactly what happened with the Deb Harris event. So we basically said we want to have more programs where they are kind of like easy events that our master trainers can replicate. So Deborah came along and trained to be one of our master trainers in our July training. We had a number of other people that there, people like Daniel, like quite a few of our city leaders, like, you know, Daniel Helenko. We had people there from like Rosmarin from Netherlands. So they all basically learned how to be a master trainer to run a 3-hour wealth dynamics workshop and a wealth spectrum workshop. And then I said, I'm going to video the first one. So Deborah said, I will run the first one, and I'll run it in Brisbane. And we called that the wealth spectrum workshop. And I ran it and we videoed it. And then Deborah, off the back of that, also had her products, right? The Grow CFO products. But it was because she came along to the master trainer. She saw the opportunity to then actually be the one to start. And she's now got her next one that she's actually going to be running in Perth. Similarly, Daniel's got his first one he's going to be running, which is going to be like in a month's time. And so they're all like flowing with these so that in the future, you know, in America or even in Mexico, you can run like a 3-hour session and one of our master trainers can come in and do it. So it doesn't have to be me. And we're building each of them and they're branding up to that next level as well, which is very exciting, right? So that's exactly how that event came about. And as the event host, she got to keep like a high percentage of all the revenues that actually took place there as well. So it became a very profitable event off the back of it too. And then the final thing is pre-selling on the book during the tour. The number one way it's going to be pre-sold is definitely going to be through all of the different speakers that are there. But it sounds to me like already Ruby has got a formula which allows you to actually you know, deliver the books out there. And I think that the simplest, easiest thing to do is actually like, you know, doing something where, you know, everyone who basically has, because it's not even about how much you actually sell of the books in terms of how much people are paying. It's about how many books are you getting out there in such a way that it actually becomes like a bestseller. So having the pages set up, giving people the opportunity to pre-sell, you know, for me to be able to kind of say, here's what's going on with this book. And if you guys are helping us to fill the event, of course, we'd be more than happy to help actually promote it as well as our partners, right? If you don't bring anyone to the event and then you say, now we want to actually have stage time to then basically now sell our book, of course, that's not going to work, right? So again, it's all about the give. And the more you're giving to people, the more they're going to give back to you as well and vice versa, right? So it's super important. Okay, I'm going to stop all of my sharing now and give everyone a chance to share whatever was the biggest thing that's come out of this call for you. And we will start with Marie.
Wow, thank you so much. I have become a partner of all 3 of the US events, and so starting to sell tickets for all 3 events, and I really appreciate, I mean, everything you said was perfect. I love it. Thank you.
Fabulous. Thank you, Marie. Gabriel? I think, hey.
Well, the biggest takeaway is to be more clear about my future vision, like it's and to keep working. Like one of the biggest learnings here right now with the Entrepreneur Fast Track, it's teamwork and be on my flow. Like talk to people. It's like I don't need to convince anyone. Like it's people like they're telling me, hey, yeah, how can I help you? It's you know, amazing that part. So it's keep on flowing that and making time to be more clear on what's the next step for my growth.
Yeah, definitely plan out all of next year already, so you got that, because this just kicks off the momentum for everything as you're experiencing, right? At that level, then it just creates it lifts your credibility up, everything. Then like you can then create that momentum for it, which is great. Okay, you're still on mute there. Here you go.
Am I unmuted?
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing for me tonight is having those options. I've done that before, and that's very natural to me to give somebody options, especially that whole concept of directed questioning. I'm not sure what you call it, that you've coached on. And if people know where there's a path, they know that you can take them on it, that trust is so high, right? So I think offering
one of 3 paths, and they can say one of them fits, or could you do 2 and tweak it, I think is really helpful. I think my next challenge will be articulating my vision with clarity when I get that blaze, because if they're going to be out speaking for me, they're going to have to really know what that is. And I guess there's that gap right there, is how do they go out and speak for me and get on the phone if they don't know what I'm doing? So I need to be able to articulate that well enough that, and they get it and they're bought into it, that they can do their job. I think that will be my next challenge.
So John C. Maxwell has a really simple 4-step process of delegation, which is step 1 is I do, step 2 is I do, you watch, step 3 is you do, I watch, step 4 is you do, right? And so the first person you bring on board, just take them on the course with you, like take them out with you, and get them to basically just kind of like at the end, after you leave every one of those meetings, say, okay, what did you see me do? Like, why do you think they did it the way they did it, and so on. And when you eventually get to a point, it's like, okay, you ready now? You're going to be the one that's not going to speak. I'm going to be there with you. So then you can see what they do, how they do it. And so it's not going to happen immediately. I guarantee it just takes maybe 10 meetings, maybe a little less, like where you're doing it and they're watching before they're ready to do it. And it takes maybe another 10 meetings, right, or less for them to do it. And then for you to go, yep, you got it now. Now you're confident they can go out and do it on their own.
Yeah, I did that when I taught algebra. So I think that's a neat, you know, I do, you watch. Now you do, I watch. And
Right.
tell me how you did it, because if you think you did it X way, it's probably not going to work forever. So yeah,
Exactly.
I'll use that.
Good.
Thank
Okay,
you.
great. Fabulous. All right. Mary.
I think probably the biggest one was what you initially said, the full focus on Mammoth, total focus on that. Obviously, I need to get myself savvy with the whole social media. That is fabulous. I love that. And 2019, our promo plans need to be pretty tight for the whole of 2019. So, yes.
Awesome. Very cool. All right. Yawen.
I will continue working. Okay, sorry.
Yep.
Can you hear me? Okay, yes. I will continue to work on my self-identity through the one you share, the self-awareness, self-mastery, and self-expression. And that's next year, I'm continue doing this integration of my own body, mind, and heart in business. So it will lead to my website, my personal brand, and I'm gonna put this out there and just see, you know, to get a flow. My theme is flow of joy, the flow of energy, and just see who, either my supplier or customer, if they feel the vibration, they can contact me, or it's okay. It's just my own joy to do this.
Okay. All right. Let's come over to Elaine next.
Sorry, where do I can't find me.
You're here.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you for giving me that big kiss. Keep it simple, stupid. And yeah, because that's much better just to do what you said. But I really got a lot from Mary to all the Facebook, just that nuts and bolts stuff. That was really brilliant. And also what you just said, body, mind, and heart in business. So got heaps out of it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Elaine. All right, and Coco, what's the biggest learning you got from this call?
I think it's a very good chance for me to find other people there in Y3, because that's a very good example for me. And I just found out maybe I should have more discussion with my business partner, how to create a good system to support what I'm doing to my company, and then I can have much more time to create the new career that I really want. I'm going to plan something. That's what I mentioned that, and that's the best big question you asked me. That what's the most important thing in the next year? So I should start it now, I think.
Very good. Excellent. And I see we have Po Chang, who's also on the call too. So for both Coco and Po Chang, we'll catch up with both of you on the calls coming up, where I'll be doing the intro call with you, and then we'll plan out all of 2019. And thank you. And I'm really looking forward to 2019. I think it's going to be very exciting. So have a fabulous month ahead to everyone. And those of you I see in January in the US, I'm super excited about that as well. It's going to be fabulous. So have a fantastic month ahead, guys, and we'll catch up with you all later. Bye.